And hello, I believe we are live. Well, not really live because I'm recording this on my own home computer, but still. This is Nairi Academy. I'm on YouTube, as you can see on the screen right now. And if you would like me to check out your replay, send it to following address, nairistarcraft@gmail.com. Include the replay, your game plan, what you were thinking, sorta, your analysis of your own play, and what you did, specifically what you did well, what you could have done better, and why you think you lost one. Today we're going to have a look at our Protoss friend called AnonymousEmu, or EMU. I am not really sure. But to be honest, that does not whoa. Does not really matter. Alright, so as we all know, StarCraft is a game. Okay, let me speed this up a little bit more. StarCraft is a game of inches and seconds, and we want those as many and as often as possible. First off, let me say that I like to start, at least this part will start with a very solid 12 gate 13 assimilator, or maybe 14 I believe. This one you had a really bad. I don't want to back it up, but let me just slow it down a little bit. You run into the mineral line. Never run into the mineral line with your probe unless you're specifically trying to lure him into attacking your probe. Anyway, now we got into the situation that we don't really know what he's doing, so we are kind of forced to go into some kind of safe opener, which is if we actually had our probe scouting, we would have known that he had no gas. So let me give you a Terran pro tip. If Terran has no gas, he will either do a 1 Rax expand, or he will do a mass barracks all in. And both of those, or against both of those, we want a Stalker very early on, so we can poke at the ramp. If he only has a few Marines, in this case he would only have had one, we could have killed the Marine and killed all the SCVs building, and many damage would to be ensued. If we were going for some kind of Rex all in, we still would have heard the Stalker descend, and we could have microed, and we would have known about it, so to speak. In this case we would only have had 2 sentries out, and they would have been able to force field once, and we would have been dead. Okay, now he said he went to fast expand with sentries. Okay, I don't mind that at all. I do mind this second gas. It was a little bit too early. As you can see, we're now running at 400 gas, which is, well, at the 7-minute mark is just simply too much. So get the expand with 1 gas, then immediately take the second gas, and then you can go on with your gateways. Overall, I think this is a 3 gate, and I believe we should see a robo pretty soon. It's a very solid opener, so I'm not going to complain there. Again, my complaint is really only that it's not very optimal to do this. It's not wrong, it's just not as optimal, and again, we do want to be as optimal as possible. Alright, moving on. A second issue that we had is with probes and pylons. For instance, if you look at the production tab, we are only making 1 probe and we have 2 Nexi. We are also getting supply block quite often, and really, this is not just for, what should I say, I don't want to use the term non-professional players. This is also an issue for the professional players. They get supply blocked way too much, like way too much. It should never be supply blocked. It's very okay to have at least, or I would say, you should have at least 20 supply room, wiggle room there. This army is a very good defensive army, up until the point when he gets medivacs, but that's another story. For the start, we have sentries to force field and stalkers to kill everything else, so that's not really a problem, not something I mind. And we made an observer, which is good. I just want to point out that if we look at the recent daily from day 9, we see that medivacs usually should appear by now. At around, if they go really fast, they can get a medivac out before 10 minutes, but normal speed would be around 11-12 minutes. So at this time we should be expecting to see some drops or other harassment, as we stated, Protoss is, as been stated by Blizzard, Protoss is really strong in the late game. It's the mid game where this is actually the mid game. Around now, from 10 to, I believe Dana said 60 minutes, is when Terran is the one to be aggressive and annoy Protoss as much as possible. Anyway, we do kind of the opposite, in my opinion. I also gotta say, I don't like the second robo. It's too early. I mean, yes, we use it, but we didn't actually need it. We could instead have made a Colossus Den thingy. Okay, we have a fight. Reasonable force fields. One more here to trap the units would have been great, but it's okay. I remember this fight when we moved out. We didn't actually move as a group. We had a few stalkers. I missed it now, but we had a few stalkers in front and maybe lost a few unnecessarily. That's why we have observers. So we know where the enemy is. Also, if we have 2 robos, we should really make more observers. They are not that costly. And again, of course, supply block. Anyway, this move out was to secure the third, which is, I suppose, kind of okay. I don't like that we take a third so far away, because again, if Terran go bio, they usually go for some kind of drop play. The player that sent me the replay said that he saw so many Marauders, so he made Immortals. A solid choice, yes. I'm not quite sure how it fares when we have really big numbers, such as say a 200 supply of Marauders. I'm not so sure about how well Immortals will actually do against that. I suppose if you go pure Immortal, you'll be fine. But anyway, my point is that I think there's a cap to Immortals. You only need maybe 5. More than that seems very, very overkill. Unless, of course, you're going against something pure Marauder. But that's not the case this time. I like this cannon shenanigans. I would have also liked... I know at some point we put cannons at our bases, but this should have been done way earlier. A cannon, even if it gets dropped, it will give us warning and it will save us time to move away our probes. So really, cannons... Now in this game we are not aware of any drops whatsoever that could be coming. And I believe this is a pretty significant weakness against Terran. Because really, we can actually, if we can get a third base up, this base, we can just... I'm gonna speed it up even more because nothing really happens, much happens after this. And now we see that we make our robotics bay. It's a little bit... Actually, it's very late, to be honest. And also, if this were a player that really went into dropping, we would have probably lost this base completely, because we are way out of position to defend, and now we move home, rushing home to defend this one drop. And after this we make cannons. Should pretty much be anticipating drops between the... Whoa, my computer can't handle this. Should pretty much be anticipating drops between 12 and 17 minutes or so. And even still, we should always have cannon at our expansion, especially the third. Because as Protoss, our main limitation is gas and not minerals. Or at least because Templars and Colossi and Sentries and Immortals and Stalkers all cost gas. It's a lot. Yes, they're fine for tanking damage, but they're more of a filler unit. We could have, say, Archons instead, so... That's it on that. Let me see what else kind of notes I made. Again, I want to reiterate the point. This second robotics facility could have been a robotics bay. Okay. Now we should be coming up soon to the biggest mistake of this game, and it's the fight over here, where we are completely out of position, and we see our Terran friend. He gets this huge arc, which he can fire upon us, and our units are just stuck in the back, running back and forth. And like, excuse me, sorry, can I fight? Excuse me, sorry. And not really getting much done. I believe we were almost at 200 supply, and our enemy was like 160. So we lost this fight pretty badly. And yeah, this was like the biggest turning point, if we exclude some less than optimal early game choices. And from here on out, I'm just gonna speed it up once again. Now we do all the I just gotta say that now we do all the really good choices. We get upgrades, we get Storm, we get Charge, we get Colossi. Now we do everything we should have done for like but like for the past 10 minutes or so. Now I gotta say this Terran guy is not the best. I like his Banshee addition into the late game army, but that's another story. Now there's not much happening in this game. We have like, well, the Banshees, and there's a drop will be coming in, killing off this third and all kind of that, which would have not happened if we had a third right here, because then we could have staged our Colossus on this cliff and he could have really not been doing much at all. Now we're kind of scared in the base, which, well, if we had made this army from the beginning we would not have had to be so scared in the base, because we would have just crushed him because he made nothing to counter our army. Okay, so I'm just gonna watch the game. Not really much else to say. I mean, we have pretty much lost this game. And we start to do some long distance mining. I wanna just say this much about long distance mining. If the opponent actually has a base mining, there's no point at all trying to long distance mine and come back that way. The only way to long distance mine is to get a Nexi as fast as possible and try to get some real mining up and going. That way we might be able to come back, but it's really unlikely. Upgrades. I know the saying is when behind Dark Shrine for Protoss, but really, for all races, when behind, get upgrades. Because the real only way to get back is take some kind of risk, and I think upgrades is the best risk to take, as that is very subtle. If you take an expansion, you're absolutely gonna get attacked. And if you try something like DT, that's very, very risky and you will lose almost immediately. So upgrades is a very good way to come back, because you can always hope to delay the game until you get a 200-200 confrontation. And if you have the upgrades in shape by then, and you make a really big dent in his army, then you are essentially back into the game. Okay, so let me just, while this is going on, let me just reiterate my big points. First of all, don't fight Medic Marine army with no AoE. You really need AoE. Or possibly some really good force fields, but that's really only in the early game. Once you get to Medivac state, you kinda can't rely on force fields anymore. I'm just gonna slow this down a little bit. You can go with Stalker and Charge Lot, but you really need to have some serious upgrade advantage, and you should have some Archons in the army anyway in that case. So get AoE if you want to fight Medic Marine, because Medic Marine is freaking good. There's a reason why people use it. As it was stated in the email, yes, you built too many immortals. In the future I would suggest that you pick like a number, say 4 or 5, maybe even 3, and then you don't make any more after that. And if that seems to be too few, then next game you make some more. And probes and pylons, probes and pylons. Do not forget the staple unit of StarCraft 2. The probes, the economy. Everything is basically based on that. And here we see our fight. This is kind of amusing in my opinion. Notice he's 200-200, we are like 127 food. And third point I want to make is make up more observers. At least 3 observers, I would say. You really want to see where he's going, so you can defend his drops and also anticipate his moves and get him in a very unfavorable position. Now this is like, I just want to point out that if we made this army from start, we would have killed him like way long ago instead of that stupid engagement like 15 minutes earlier. Last thing I want to say is positioning. When fighting a Medic Marine army, you want to force him to be into a choke. Like many times this game, we were staged right up out here. We should be staged right outside his base, because this is a natural choke. He will have to run down and we can force fill off half his army, and it will be a very easy fight for us. And well, vice versa is also true. We should not be fighting him out here, because then he can get a wide, huge ass arc, where, for instance, our Colossus AoE and our High Templar AoE is not so effective, because he will be very spread out. Okay, and this game is coming to a conclusion. Our enemy has way too much money, and sadly we lost this game today. It's also dropping our main base, that doesn't really matter. Okay, let me get back to the overlay screen and also check that I actually did that. 1 second. Yes, once again, it's been a Nairi Academy cast. Sorry for my long, big ramblings. I hope you had... Well, I hope you at least can laugh at them, and hopefully you also learned something. And... Well, thanks for watching, and send me some more replays if you want me to check